I first came across the Gibb brothers in Sydney at a venue called The Bowl. Now, I just recently arrived from Brisbane with the band, and I knew of the Bee Gees, of course. They started to make a few inroads and had a couple of records released. And but this was the first time I'd met them personally. And Morris came up to me at the venue, introduced himself, and he had his elder sister Leslie with him. Now we got chatting, and I ended up back at the Gibbs home. And Morris and I sat up all night and listening to records, and we just clicked from there on in. Now, over the next year and a half, I became very close friends with Morris particularly, and had the opportunity of doing some recording with them. So we were starting to build a musical rapport, so to speak. Now, a little later, about 18 months later, I decided to go to England to try my hand at acting again. But before I left, we had a round table conference at the Gibbs home. And it was during that chat, and oh, by the way, dinner at the Gibbs was inevitably baked beans and endless cups of tea. None of us had any money at the time. We were struggling. But it was at this meeting around the table that the Gibbs said, "We're coming over to England as well. Now, if you're not doing anything with the film business, join us, and you'll become a BG," which I did in February of '67. Now, we started off in a little grotty rehearsal room, just running through some songs. And this rehearsal room was very primitive, and the power kept cutting out. It was on one of these occasions that Morris and Robin and Barry and myself sat under torchlight in this fire well. And because I loved the echo that was prominent there, and just with an acoustic guitar and the torch sitting there, the conversation got around to, wouldn't it be dreadful to be trapped in the dark somewhere and you're not knowing whether you can get out of this situation, or indeed if you'll see your loved ones once again. And then another Gibb pipes up and says, "Oh, a miner, that could happen to a miner." And just through this conversation, this song was captured in about 20 minutes, and it was our first hit record in England, and it's called New York Mining Disaster. Meanwhile, another Australian was in London, Vince Melouney, who played with Billy Thorpe and the Aztecs. Now, Vince was down on his luck. He'd even sold his guitar, but he was very close friends of the Easy Beats. And one Sunday afternoon, I think Vince said to me, he went over to visit the Easy Beats at their home in Wimbledon. And one of the, I think it could have been George Young, said, "Hey Vince, did you hear the Bee Gees are in town? Why don't you look them up? You never know what could come of it." Now, the big issue was with Vince at the time is that he'd sold a lot of clothes to Morris for his expenses to get to England. Now, Vince is thinking, "Oh, I can go and get paid for these clothes." But as it turns out, Vince got Morris on the phone, and Morris said, "Oh, I can pay you for the clothes, there's no problem there. But we're recording tomorrow night. Why don't you come along?" So Vince borrowed George Young's guitar, the same guitar that was used on Friday on My Mind. And that was the guitar that Vince played on that first recording session that came out of IBC Studios' New York Mining Disaster.